Welcome back, boys and girls, to another episode of Kayfabe Comparisons. My name is Mr. Know-It-All, Daniel John Schaefer, and today I am joined once again by my holy trinity, Mr. Jesse Baker, Mr. Wex Breaking the Loss, and the whole Kayfabe crew is here. Boys, how we living today?
Living it up, eating some continental breakfast and allegedly maybe or maybe not a twisted tea.
Love it, love it, love it. Wex, how you doing, bud?
Hey, it's real early. Just took a nice fat dump before we started this.
Jesus Christ, son.
Love it, love it, love it. Nice and milky. Let's move it on here. Speaking of nice and milky, pro wrestling, the state of the world right now is it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm here for it for sure. So today's show, we're calling a little bit of an audible. We're gonna do kind of like the debut of Rampage, and then talk about everything that AEW's kind of been doing until now. And then we're also going to compare that to what was going on in the world around SummerSlam time in 2001. We're not going to do a traditional kayfabe comparison because it's not one show versus another. So we're really just going to kind of touch mostly on all the headlines, all the cool stuff, all the stuff that we're stoked about for AEW, and then talk about the things that really stood out to us, both good and bad, from the SummerSlam show in 2001. So without further ado, Rampage did debut their new show. It's only a 1-hour show, which I actually like. I was worried. I felt like it might be a little too short, but I think they've made it work. Rampage debuted on the 13th, and it was a great show. I mean, it was a really cool open. I was a little bit disappointed that it's pretty much the exact same set as Dynamite. I was hoping for a little bit of a different set change, but obviously that's just like a personal preference thing. It didn't really have any bearing on the show itself, but just a personal little thing. I do like that opening package, though. Jesse, what do you think about like the new open for Rampage and that whole kind of thing?
I think it's very exemplary of AEW way upping their production game. Their video packages just keep getting better and better, and you can kind of see everybody kind of talks about how they've overloaded their roster and they keep signing too much old WWE talent and stuff. But when you watch a video package like that and you see the star power in that few seconds alone, it all kind of comes together for me.
Yeah, I agree. How you feel about the 1-hour format?
It's kind of in the same boat. I thought that I might not, but I really feel like they had it dialed in. There's like plenty of action, plenty of like their tiny versions of story development and stuff. But it's like, you got to keep in mind, for a lot of people, this is an intro. Like on Friday night, following SmackDown on TNT, a lot of people have never watched any wrestling, or if they have, it's been 20 fucking years. So I thought it was perfect.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree. Wex, what do you think about like the new open for Rampage, the 1-hour format, the whole kind of rollout for the show?
I love it. Honestly, it does what you want from a wrestling show. It does leave you wanting more. Yeah. But not to the point where it's like I'm pissed off. It's just like, dude, I cannot wait till Wednesday. I think it's great because I hate sitting through like any 3-hour show unless it's like a real big pay-per-view. It's just ridiculous. Like,
I agree. And let's be honest here, guys. Like from time to time when I don't have anything else going on, I'll watch Dark or Elevation or whatever. But those shows are not shows. Like they're YouTube.
They're ways to get the boys some work.
Yeah, it's just extra stuff. 99% of it is enhancement matches essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
It's mostly used to bolster their win-loss record stuff too. I've noticed that they use a lot of that in when they're trying to talk up storylines and things like that. Like all those small matches make that shit add up.
Yeah, it does, and that does make sense, like psychologically.
Yeah, I know that because I've really hardly ever seen Jade Cargill wrestle because I don't watch Dark much, but it'll be like she's 10-0 in her last match and in her last 10 matches, and I'm like, well, she must be doing something,
Yeah, which is smart. I think that they did it well. And the very first match for the very first Rampage show is Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega for the Impact World title. The crowd was super hype. I thought it was a really good idea to put this on first as opposed to last, especially when this is your first show. I mean, the match was insanely good too. I mean, I'm already hyped for the rematch because the match was so good, bell to bell. I thought initially it was going to be like, I don't know if this is a good idea to kind of give away this match already. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if people are going to want to pay for it if we've already seen it. But it was really damn good. I mean, zero doubt that Christian still got it. I mean, he's great work, great booking. The finish was really good too. I gave this match alone 6 beers. What did you guys think about Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega?
I 6-beered it too. I thought it was great. Couldn't agree more with the idea of starting out with it. Also, you want to start with that star power thing on your debut episode, your debut Friday night. Totally made sense to me. Also, they've still kept up this streak with Christian where he's still undefeated.
Yeah.
In singles matches in AEW, which is fucking ideal. It's perfect.
Yeah. Also, him being the Impact champion makes the most sense. I mean, we've talked about it a lot on the show. Like, who would be the guy to where Kenny can keep the AEW title but lose the Impact title and help Impact? And I think Christian Cage is the perfect guy, especially considering the history there. I mean, the dude uses the same entrance music. It's nostalgia, but he's also still really damn good and is going to have a really good long run there. The three of us did go to an Impact taping and got to see Christian Cage there, and he 100% still got it for sure. Wex, what do you think about this match and how you feel about it kicking off Rampage?
Dude, I thought it was sick. I also gave it a 6-pack. Everything about the match was great. Like even the interference and the little nuances there, and just kind of, and I like the little the teasing of the dissension of the Elite. Like, oh, you guys fucked up, and I lost my title. And like bell to bell, it was great. The story was great, and yeah, I agree 100%. Like Christian is like a perfect transition from Kenny Omega, and like you said, that history with Impact, it just makes sense. It does nothing but good for Impact and AEW.
I agree fully. Let's just keep it rolling here. The debut episode of Rampage. We had the next match on the card was Fuego del Sol versus Miro for the TNT Championship. It was a super hot start, and the crowd was so hype, which surprised me because of how emotionally invested they were in the Cage and Omega match. Generally, they're going to have a little, it's going to be harder to keep them up, after a 6-beer match, essentially. But they were there for this. I mean, Del Sol gives me huge 1, 2, 3 Kid vibes in the best kind of way. It was really good. It was fast. It was an enhancement match, but also Miro like bumped well and sold really well to make you kind of think, hey, maybe. I thought that this was booked and handled really well. I know I've been down on Miro a lot, but this reminded me of like Rollins and Lesnar, where like Lesnar had just been mowing through so many people and you didn't expect anybody to like really get him anywhere. And then just, Rollins came right out of the gate and he just sold really well. When Brock Lesnar decides to sell, it's really believable because he never fucking sells. It's the same thing with Miro. Like Miro never really sells. So, when he's taking these bumps and looking foggy, I thought he did a great job, man. Like I thought this whole match was great. I thought the storyline with Sammy Guevara coming out, and apparently that was a shoot. Giving him the contract. It was a great feel-good moment, but also it made Miro continue to look like an absolute monster. 4 solid beers for me. I really enjoyed it. Jesse, what do you think about the whole Fuego del Sol Miro storyline thing?
I mean, I had kind of wished that they didn't put the TNT title on the line because it would have made more sense to me if Fuego could have stolen one and gotten his contract legit that way, as opposed to losing and then still winning the contract. Sure. That kind of took a little bit out for me.
I get that. That makes sense.
But they also, they made a star out of that kid to the people who didn't know who he was already.
Yeah.
Just that momentum situation, the David versus Goliath strategy. It's just old school psychology, and it totally works. It was a 3 beer for me.
Yeah, nice. Solid. Wex, where you at on the Miro and Del Sol here?
I was very hyped on it. I was just a little bit more than you guys. I went 4.5 beers on that just because if it wasn't for the crowd, it probably wouldn't have got that high, but the crowd made it so much more intense. Like they were super behind it. And I'm a big fan of Fuego del Sol. I think he deserves the contract, obviously. And he obviously, just like you said, gained a bunch of new fans that he probably didn't have before just from that show. And like you were talking about the intensity of the crowd, I think the 1-hour format is perfect because there's not enough time for y'all to get fucking too hyped on hour 1. Then by hour 3 in the main event comes, you're gassed. It's all like just bam, bam, back to back. It's great.
Are they going to do are they treating this the way like WWF treated Raw back in the 90s where they're going to film like it's like live every other week? Because I would imagine for a live show you're doing more than 1 hour. You know what I mean, in an arena.
Well, I think they film Dark now.
Oh.
Instead of doing Dark before Dynamite, they're doing Dark before this because the time.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, cool. Well, nice little question answered there. Let's keep it rolling. The last match, there's only 3 matches on the show, which I think is great because it's not too much. It's not too little, but it's almost too little, and it does leave you wanting more, which I completely agree with. The match here is Red Velvet versus Britt Baker for the AEW Women's Championship. The crowd was super hype. It was Britsburg or whatever. That was kind of cool, except for the fact that she's supposed to be this monster heel. So I really didn't like that it's like they give them all like Britt Baker terrible towels and like they really did like the almost babyface merch thing with her. I don't know. I think I think it's a great visual. It's great for her hometown pop, but I do honestly think it hurts her heat nationally. Because I mean, when you watch that, like, how do you not want to cheer for her, right? So then the next week when she comes out and she's supposed to be this shitty heel again, it's like, I don't know. That continuity bothered me quite a bit. And let's be honest, Red Velvet should not have been in this position. She's not ready. She's not very good at bell to bell. There's just no way around that. But yeah, either way, it was a good, I guess, hometown win for a baby heel. I don't know what you want to call her, but I gave it right in the middle. 3 beers for me. Britt Baker did her best to carry the match. That's kind of how I felt about it. Jesse, where were you at on Red Velvet versus Britt Baker here?
I definitely agree with the heel face momentum thing. It was very, like Red Velvet doesn't have the charisma to take on that heel role for a one-off show and have it be believable. There's so many fucking people that could have.
Right.
You could have run a really short program here with even like Nyla or something to where it made sense that people would cheer for Britt and then just get her back on her bullshit the following week. And to me, that was some really short-sighted booking. Obviously, they're trying to push the shit out of Red Velvet. I don't really get it. Yeah. But the other option would have been if you put somebody out there with just undeniable charisma like Ty Conti or something like that. I think that you still could have kept up the heel dynamic for Britt, even though the hometown crowd's going to cheer a little bit. I thought she should have trashed the fucking town personally and just gone full bore heel, but
I agree.
Whatever.
Totally.
The match was only 2 beers for me. I didn't really like walk away remembering or thinking about anything specific to do with the bell-to-bell work itself.
Sure. Wex, where are you at on it?
I went 3.5 beers on this match, and the way that I look at this, I relate this back to, it's kind of a vice versa thing, back to when Bret Hart was the heel until he went to Canada. And then when they went to Canada, it was his hometown. He was a babyface, but as soon as he went back to another, back to the U.S. and the next week, he was a fucking heel again. That's kind of how I relate. It's like she's in her hometown. I see why this works, but then, and she's kind of like that cool heel, so it's kind of like hard not to boo her. And I completely agree about Red Velvet. She's not bad, but she just needs more experience. Like clearly, like she has the base there, but obviously it wasn't working. But there's some of the in-ring stuff was pretty sick. I like how Britt Baker sold the hurt arm and transitioned and rolled over to the left side and then hit the lockjaw. I thought that was very creative. Nice little spot there. But yeah, 3.5 beers. They could have put Chris Statlander. They could have put Penelope Ford. They could have put a few other wrestlers.
Well, I think they are building Penelope Ford. I mean, it looks like she's getting a lot more TV time.
They could have put Kiera Hogan in the spot like they did with Jade Cargill in the next match that we're going to be talking about in the future. She could have had this spot, and she's way more experienced, has way more charisma. Yeah. Way better wrestler.
I agree. So overall, I will say, though, for the first Rampage show, I think they did a great job to set it up. And I want to get to, we're recording this. Normally, I know that the show always drops on Saturday. We normally record it during the week. Maybe that'll change because I think that having this insight here on Saturday mornings and knowing everything that's happened the day we drop the show is going to be incredible because I do definitely want to get to the following week's Rampage, last night's Rampage. It's the talk of the wrestling business and probably will be for the next coming months. I'm super hype about it. So I do want to touch really quick on the Dynamite in between on the 18th. I don't want to go match by match. I just want to tell you my highlights, and we'll go by and I'll ask you guys what you thought. I thought the opening segment with Sting and Darby was cool with the 2.0 thing. I think it's really great that they're pushing this kind of mid-card NXT team to being a viable tag team. I mean, 2.0, I think like they were never really stars even on NXT, but obviously they can get heat. I mean, and they're not bad. I think it's, a lot of people are kind of shitting on AEW for signing up all this talent. But like, to me, it's like, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a great idea, especially if you're using talent that WWE completely whiffed on. I mean, if they can show that they're really good and they just weren't used well there, then why not raise their value? At that point, they kind of are homegrown stars. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the Darby thing was cool. The Sammy and the Spears match was really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was the best match on the card. I don't know. What's the name of that MMA trainer? What's his name? The old guy?
Dan Lambert.
Dude, he is the best promo in the business, bar none. Like, fantastic on the mic. Love that dude in the ring. I think that I think he's got a great future as like just a heel manager. Even if he wants to get these washed up MMA guys in the wrestling ring for one-offs here and there, if he's the guy like behind the mic, essentially being the Paul Heyman, I'm here for it. I thought it was cool. Yeah, and then of course, we got to talk about MJF versus Jericho. I'm glad that they put MJF over. I thought that was the right thing to do. I thought it was very cool. I like that Jericho's kind of taking time off. It did feel like the 5 Labors of Jericho were essentially a retirement tour. And I think now looking back, especially with like the Rock and Rager coming up, the Cruise, like I think it is kind of his full-time that was his full-time retirement run. I think he's going to move into like a big show role, maybe wrestle 2 or 3 times a year and start doing, just staying on commentary and Rampage. And I'm here for that. I think it's going to be great. I think he's great on commentary. So yeah, I mean, those were my thoughts from Dynamite. Wex, how'd you feel about Dynamite this week?
Dynamite was fantastic. I enjoyed that. I want to touch on the Dan Lambert thing. He did have Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page come out. So if he's a potential manager for them,
yeah,
I think that'd be pretty sick. Even though, honestly, Ethan Page doesn't really need anyone to talk for him. Scorpio Sky is decent at best on the mic.
Yeah,
but I think Lambert would be great for them. Yeah, dude, the 5 Labors of Jericho, fantastic. Hearing everyone sing Judas and it the pyro hit at the right time and everything, I thought that was you could not have planned that out better. And it was really cool. And it's funny how everyone kind of mumbled through the first verse, but when the chorus hit, boom, it got loud as shit.
Yeah, it was
cool. I haven't heard it was great. And I loved that match, just the little nuance. He sneaks in Floyd, but then hesitates just for a second to not hit the Judas effect, and that's what causes him to lose the match. That was great. I really want to see where this leads with Jericho, but I agree. Commentary, he would be great, but AEW needs to do something about the 4-man booth on Rampage. That's too many people.
I agree.
Not filling that 4-man booth. But the rest of Dynamite was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I really have nothing bad. And I love we got to see the classic Sting. He gets put through the table, then just hops up and does the chest banging.
Yeah.
Dude. And just like you said, 2.0, formerly Everrise and NXT, they're a pretty solid tag team. They're a Canadian team. So,
yeah.
They used to wrestle in Chikara a lot.
Nice.
And they had I've seen some pretty sick shit in Chikara from them, and I just think they're one of those they've been around forever. They're just one of those veteran Canadian tag teams who never got a chance. Because apparently the reason they even got a job with WWE is Kevin Owens kept giving them calls to work extras, and they eventually got a shot.
I love that. I love Kevin Owens helping folks out. Jesse, what do you think about Dynamite?
I gotta say, overall as a show, and I hope this isn't the trend moving forward, but I did not think this was anywhere on par with the last few weeks of Dynamite, and I'm wondering if it's because of the focus on getting Rampage off the ground.
Yeah.
I personally can't find a reason to get invested in this 2.0 feud thing, or Daniel Garcia, who to me is a black hole of charisma. I just can't care. And maybe that'll change in time. I don't really know, but opening with Sting, not a bad idea. I agree about Guevara and Spears. That was great. Them tying in the engagement was smart. While I do agree with Dan Lambert promo assessment that you made, Daniel, I really don't. It's hard for me to. Maybe I'm just not up on MMA enough, but it's hard for me to really know that people give a shit about the people that he had with him. You know what I mean? Where does that go, really?
No, I hear you.
And
unless he pairs with Sky and Page, because then that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And then it kind of makes sense, but wouldn't you think that they would do something with somebody that was a little bit more real life credible in terms of fighting and stuff, rather than the charisma angle? That, I don't think Sky and Page need a mouthpiece at all.
Well, what if they just put him in the fold, though? For example, they have just Junior Dos Santos have one fight, but Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky do all the week to week wrestling matches. You know what I mean? And have Dan just be the mouthpiece. That makes sense to me.
I thought there were a lot of segments that to me were kind of meaningless. I thought that Death Triangle promo was dumb. The Hook segment I thought was dumb. I don't think anybody gives 2 fucks about Jamie Hayter. That is not a big thing to me.
Nope.
They announced Paul White's big AEW in-ring debut against fucking QT Marshall, which I can't imagine caring about at all. I don't know why they're giving him that rub. Jesus fuck. And I really, honest to God, thought that both Bucks versus Jurassic and Thunder Rosa versus Penelope Ford, I thought they were both not very good matches.
I like the Bucks match quite a bit.
Yeah, I thought the Bucks match is fantastic.
But I agree on the Thunder Rosa Penelope Ford match wasn't very good.
I love Thunder Rosa, but I thought Penelope Ford just sucked the wind out of the room. Jericho MJF, glad to see it pay off. Although one has to think that their plans for the 5 labors scenario were initially different, because the last couple of matches, like, I'm glad they put MJF over, but to be honest, all the submissions in this match looked weak as fuck. There were a couple of like bigger spots, but like all of the like critical denouement moments where is he going to tap? Is he not going to tap? All just looked like loose and weird to me. I
agree with that.
Overall, I gave that match 3.5 beers. I'd probably give the show in a total like 2.5 all the way around. And please get Jon Moxley the fuck off my TV.
Dude, it's like it gets worse and worse and worse. Like, first of all, I will say this. He physically looks better than he ever has before. He looks like he's putting on bulk. He looks better. But his promos it's almost like he got like even more ego out of it because people have been just ramping him up. And so now he's like, oh, I'll just come up with it off the top of my head. I'm Jon Moxley. And then he tries. And then I think he genuinely thinks he's delivering good promos. And it's awful. Like, you got Eddie Kingston there. Eddie Kingston is an old man at this point who does not really work well in the ring, but is probably one of the best talkers on your roster. Why don't you just let Eddie talk for him? Like, I mean, of course he's Jon Moxley. Let him get a couple lines and that's fine. But let Eddie be the mouthpiece. Like, that to me makes more sense. Or, you know what? Just make these guys an actual tag team and get him out of singles competition. That would be great. I would love to just have Eddie and Moxley be a legitimate tag team that goes up against the Bucks or goes up against Jurassic Express as heels. I think that would be great. Or even Lucha Brothers. I think that would be awesome.
You know what I think they're working towards, because I've already seen some stuff. I think that they're going to reunite Jon Moxley and Sami Callihan as a tag team. They've already well, their Forbidden Door. I don't know if it's going to be an AEW or an Impact, but I feel like if them two as a tag team would probably work out great because.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't like either one of them, so that makes perfect sense.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's like two people you don't like together as a team.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Maybe the sum of two parts will be better. Maybe I'll actually like them as a tag team. Who knows?
I mean, their work as a tag team in CZW is always really entertaining to watch. Like,
yeah. Well, I actually have never seen any of that CZW stuff. Maybe I'll go back and watch it. Let's get to what we're all here for, though, boys. It was AEW Rampage First Dance that happened last night. It is their second ever Rampage. So if we're just talking about this, the very first Rampage, they open with Christian versus Kenny Omega. The second week, they open with the return of CM Punk after 7 years away. I know, like, the Twitterverse has been all but confirming he's going to wrestle X amount of days. What's he going to do? How's it going to be? But there's still speculation. You know what I mean? Like, he was silent. You don't really know what's going to happen. In my mind, I'm thinking too, like, it's a 1 hour show. If they're going to debut CM Punk, they need to do it at the very top of the show. Like, that needs to be what happens. And of course, in true smart Tony Khan fashion, that's what they did. For a 1 hour show, CM Punk got 20 minutes, a third of the show, just talking, and he killed it. I mean, that's what he's best at. I mean, to be completely honest, I've been very critical of his actual in-ring work. I think he's been one of the best talkers in my lifetime for sure. But I mean, his in-ring work is hit or miss. Sometimes it's phenomenal. Sometimes it's kind of meh. And we'll see. Hopefully he's knocked some of the ring rust off. I think going against a guy like Darby Allin will be insane at All Out, especially because I just feel like it's going to be hardcore. Although I feel like it's going to have to be good bell to bell, because if it's not, then you're just going to be kind of ending the steam of Darby Allin, because we all know CM Punk's going over. So the match needs to be really damn good in order to keep Darby shining. Because if it's not really good and Punk goes over, you're really just going to be stomping on Darby Allin, and that's not good. But yeah, man, I loved it. I was never the biggest CM Punk fan, but I don't know a single pro wrestling fan that cannot mark out at this situation. I mean, the crowd was insane. It was massive. I mean, I said it to you guys already. I think it's a Bash at the Beach moment. I think this is a Winds of Change moment happening. I think this is an AEW finally becoming a true contender or a successor to WWE, which is crazy to think about. Wex, what do you think about this open and CM Punk returning for a Rampage, man?
Dude, like you said, I was never the biggest CM Punk fan. Like when he was in WWE, like I thought he was pretty cool. You know, he was like a whatever. But dude, this fucking, like, the crowd, like there was grown men full tears when he came out there. Yeah. I've never heard the crowd louder than the music. Like it was deafening. Like you couldn't even. I was like, oh my god, you could hardly hear the announcers. It was ridiculously loud, and you could just seeing the look on his face too. Like he could. It was great. It made me feel good too. And the funny thing is him and Christian both took 7-year hiatuses, but one was for injury and one was for he was healing mentally, as he said in his promo. But dude, this is like, just like you said, dude, this is a, no pun intended, a paradigm shift in pro wrestling. Like,
yeah. And
if the rumored other people are still coming to AEW, like I saw a sign that someone had in the crowd. It says, we wish WWE best on their future endeavors.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
dude, if they have CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, Christian,
Adam Cole,
and if they get Adam Cole, dude, and then Buddy Murphy's pretty much a guarantee to come to at some point, and then we think Ruby Soho, formerly Ruby Riott, that'd be great for the women's division. They need some solid.
Yeah, they do. In there. They really need some heavy hitters in the women's division.
But Jamie Hayter, even though we're not too big fans of her, she's a pretty solid worker, so at least she can bust some shit out there. But dude, that opening, dude, fuck, like I felt it. I felt it here.
12-pack. It's a 12-pack. It's a once in a lifetime thing.
It's a keg, dude. It ain't a 12-pack. It's a whole goddamn keg. It's the whole brewery. Except but we're straight edge because it's CM Punk. So it was actually a 12-pack of water.
Okay. Or Pepsi.
Pepsi. There you go. Even though Pepsi sucks, but
Jesse, what do you think about this open, man?
Dude, I mean, I can't echo much more than you guys did. Obviously, historic moment in the history of sports entertainment. Fucking wild. I wasn't sold on the fact that it was happening just because I felt like it had been so hyped up that I figured that they were going to, brick it somehow. I fully also wouldn't have been surprised if Punk walked out on fucking SmackDown. And that was kind of partially I thought that might happen.
That would be a very CM Punk thing to do, so.
Yeah. And especially now, if you see like the back and forth with Cena and Reigns and like all the references to fucking the CM Punk feud with Cena back in the day and shit like that, I really thought that was going to happen. But I'm sure the fuck glad it didn't. I'm very glad that they went ahead and licensed Living Color. I was afraid they might try and change that. Yep. Thank God they did not. The promo itself, fucking killer. The shots at the E, referencing the Britt Baker pop, like the whole deal was very just exemplary of why CM Punk is such an important figure. And my theory is, with All Out, I'm not so sure that Punk goes over because in this situation, like, you cannot afford to turn Darby heel, and God knows they're not going to make Punk a heel. I think we're going to see a blackout, and we're going to see Malachi Black interfere, and that's going to be the next move for Punk.
I like that.
For Darby.
I like that, though.
Or for Darby, yeah, either way.
Which I honestly think Darby, a faction with Malachi Black, Darby, and Sting, a heel faction, like later down the line.
Well, I mean, I think that we're going to see, Murphy is coming in and going to be Malachi's, like, underling. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to happen. So I don't really know where they go with that. I think it's going to be good, though. I'm really hyped for what happens, man. I'm just nervous for All Out. I just want it to be a great show. I think a lot rides on that show. There's going to be more eyes on AEW than ever before. And I think that, this really could be the beginning of the end. I don't want to be like, too crazy about it, but I don't even mean like an 83-week WCW run. I mean that if WWE continues to do the dumbest shit that they've done, I think possibly ever, with the way they're booking their shows and the people that they're pushing and the people that they're cutting, this really could be the end. It would make more sense, too, if they're in number 2 but still have a lot kind of going on, for Vince to be like, okay, fine, I'll just sell and cut bait and be done. I had a really great run. It was like 50 years or whatever, like, I'll just sell the company and AEW can do the new thing.
Fucking great grandkids and shit, and like,
yeah, dude. And honestly, man, like, look, we all sit here and we shit on the E, we shit on Vince, but none of us would be here. AEW wouldn't exist without the WWE, the WWF, without Vince McMahon specifically. So, the dude's earned it. And I'm not saying that, like, yes, he has been fucking up for probably the past solid 5 years, but like, shit, at 5 years out of a 50-year run, he did all right. You know what I mean? He did pretty solid.
Pretty good.
Pretty solid. Do you think this is going to happen tonight at SummerSlam, since we're recording this on a Saturday? The CM Punk chance at SummerSlam for sure?
Oh, 100%.
Because half the fans are probably went to Chicago and are still going to SummerSlam. You know how people do.
Every show, dude.
Brock Lesnar guy was in the front row. Brock Lesnar guy was like literally, CM Punk was like giving him a hug. I was like, what the fuck? Like, Brock Lesnar guys.
And Frank the Clown.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
he was out there too, which is crazy, man. I don't know, man. It's crazy. The rest of the card, honestly, like, I mean, dude, like, it is what it was. I mean, the private party Jurassic Express match was good. It was really good.
That Canadian Destroyer off the shoulders was fucking crazy.
It was insane. It was a really good match, but honestly, I don't remember anything else from Bash at the Beach '96. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, no one else is gonna remember anything from the show other than CM Punk came back, and that's fine.
We had a Jade Cargill squash because I think that match probably would have went a little longer, but CM Punk, had to get his time in. And
fine by me.
I don't know. Daniel Garcia, I thought he had a pretty good showing against Jon Moxley, even though I know you guys don't like Jon Moxley and Jesse thinks Daniel Garcia has no charisma, but in the ring, he's very good.
He is very good.
That's why they're pairing him with 2.0 because they have all the fucking charisma.
Yes, I agree. I do think he's a really good wrestler. It just sucks that, like, in a situation where there's a tag team and a singles guy, it makes the singles guy look like the leader of the group, but he's not the leader of the group. You know what I mean? Like, so that's a little weird. I don't know. I do agree completely with Jesse. I think that Daniel Garcia is going to be like a Hugh Morris. Like, he's going to wrestle on the mid card, be a great hand, and he's going to be a great coach one day. He's going to be a great trainer one day. But there's no way that kid's going to be a star.
He could develop a little more.
It's possible. I'm calling it now, though. There's no possible way Daniel Garcia ever becomes an actual star, especially if they continue to sign the guys that they're going to continue to sign. I'm hype about it. Let's actually talk about 2001 a little bit.
I think 2.0 has a chance to break out of that and become stars.
That's true. That is true for sure. I do like that tag team. I think that an inevitable run with them and like Santana and Ortiz, and then obviously, FTR, Young Bucks, whatever. They got a lot. Jurassic Express, a lot of really good tag teams in AEW. I'm hype about it. Let's hop over here to 2001 though and compare how hot WWF was in 01 with the crowds and. I mean, dude, this was a sea of signs when you open up this opening for SummerSlam 01. The drowning pool intro is so 2001.
Yeah.
No narration, just a bunch of clips of wrestling with psych ward patients watching. Very, very new metal. It was what it was. I kind of miss that vibe from WWE for sure. But the opening match here was Landstorm versus Edge for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. I thought it was one of the best things on the show. That's why I'm bringing it up. I don't want to go match by match. But to me, this was actually bell to bell my match of the night. I thought it was the best thing on the show, bell to bell. The Intercontinental title, I thought it was a great way to kind of have the Christian do the interference spot, but like Edge still wins. So it's like you're still planting those seeds there. It was really well booked, well worked. I gave it 5 beers. I thought it was awesome. The only other things that I really want to touch on as far as, SummerSlam is obviously you got to talk about, the Stone Cold match. You got to talk about the Rock match. Those matches were phenomenal. Stone Cold at this point is not the mechanic that he once was. He's not the bell-to-bell go-getter, but the crowd's just so damn hot that all he's got to really do is throw some punches, some kicks, and every time he throws one random vertical suplex in there, the crowd goes apeshit because he never does it anymore.
He takes some hellified bumps in this match.
He does, man.
Like for 2001 neck Stone Cold, his neck in 2001, I was like, God damn.
Yeah. He was taking some pretty vicious bumps for sure. The Tajiri X-Pac Cruiserweight match was pretty good. I didn't hate it. There was actually, it's not a bad show. The Spike in APA versus Test and the Dudleys, that was trash, gutter trash, not good at all. The Chris Jericho versus Rhino match was good, but not great. The RVD Jeff Hardy hardcore match was good, but I preferred the Invasion match, and we just watched it. It wasn't that it was bad. It was a good match. It just wasn't as good as that Invasion match, I thought. Still gave it like 4 beers. That's really what stood out to me from the show. The Canyon DDP versus Kane and Taker thing was gutter trash. Should not have happened. Awful. Just a complete burial of Canyon and DDP. Not for me. Overall, though, 2001 was a hot year. This SummerSlam 2001 reminds me of what Rampage and Dynamite and AEW are doing now. And if they keep that kind of momentum, there's no way they're not taking over. Jesse, where are you at on this whole SummerSlam 2001? What stood out to you? What was great? What sucked?
I absolutely loved Edge and Lance Storm. I thought Lance Storm played his role to a T in this whole, serious heel, yada, yada, yada. And the actual work was fucking great. I do kind of wish the interference hadn't happened. I mean, I know the storyline part, but that kind of hurt the match for me overall. But I mean, like, the reversal sequence at the end was super dope. The springboard into Power Slam was super unexpected. I thought that particular spot, like, really popped.
It was really cool.
When Test came out, I realized I don't know the words to this theme song, and I can't tell what the fuck the guy's saying, and I've never known. If you ever want to have a really good time, Google the lyrics to Test's WWE theme song from 2001, because it is the dumbest shit I have ever read. Like, there's stuff in here about a sock hop, about jacking off and parasols, and I mean, it is a really weird set of lyrics. And I'm not going to put you through reading them, but my God.
So is it different from his original song, Test, This Is a Test?
Oh, no, it's the same song.
Oh, yeah, it very, like, those weird words. It reminds me of the original SmackDown opening theme. It's just like,
yeah, totally.
You can't tell what they're saying something, but you don't know what the fuck they're saying.
Yeah. I did love X-Pac and Tajiri. I thought, there are a million spots in that match that you could talk about. There are a couple of weird things, like a couple of slips, but they were super realistic slips, and it really honestly didn't offend me very much. The crowd was super fucking hot for Tajiri, which is hilarious because he's just grunting in Japanese the entire time. He's still not saying words, but they were popping at every fucking thing that he did. And I kind of thought it was funny that Albert comes down for the interference and catches the mist, and in a few short years we would see him become Lord Tensai and use the mist himself.
Yeah.
But I really did love that.
I mean, it was like 10 years, but yeah.
Whatever. Who cares? He was off TV for like 6 of that, so. Yeah. The Jericho Rhino was great. I thought. I mean, the match wasn't great, but I thought for storyline purposes it was all well. The Sean Stasiak, like, running into garage doors shit was popping me the whole
hilarious. Yes.
Definitely the best thing that he has ever done in his entire career, for sure. RVD Hardy, definitely my match of the night on this card. I did like the Invasion match better, but goddamn, like, this was like such a quick evolution of this wrestling style, and we would go on to see everybody else kind of try and grow on it. And it was, again, such a large stepping stone for both of these guys who would go on to become like world champions and megastars and shit. Like, fucking absolutely incredible. Highlight of the show for me. Fuck the DDP Taker Kane shit. I hate that they buried Canyon. DDP lost to Sarah on Raw, I think the next night. And I mean, it's just the shittiest shit that ever shit. I really did not like it at all. The Rock promos, they are really heavily relying on him mid-match throughout the entire show. We see him several times. We get a classic David Sahadi video package with Drowning Pool for Stone Cold and Kurt Angle, which was fucking great. Yeah. I really wish Stone Cold and Kurt Angle had closed the show. I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to place importance on the WCW Championship. They wanted to try and push Book. The Rock was definitely, at this point, the hottest guy in the company, so I understand putting him on top. But my God, how much of a better match Stone Cold and Angle was.
Yes, I agree. Which is surprising, honestly. I had forgotten about it, so I was really expecting The Rock and Booker to be like the show stealer, but it wasn't, weirdly.
No, and I mean, you also don't want to, you don't want to end the entire card on a DQ, and I know they wanted to push that heel turn for Nick Patrick angle and, yada, 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 so I understand that part of it, but overall, though, I mean, we've covered a lot of 2001. 2001 was a fucking fantastic year, a controversial year in that it's the beginning of the monopoly and in many ways kind of the downside of WWF.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
It would take a good half decade for them to get to a point where it was like boring, but the this show right here is kind of like super peak fucking dopeness. I really loved it.
Yeah, I agree, man. Wex, what do you think about SummerSlam? Good, bad, ugly?
There was obviously a little good, bad, and ugly in this entire thing, and yeah, dude, 2001, like the Sadati promos, is it Sahadi?
Sahadi, yeah.
Sahadi, yeah, dude. His video packages like that, let the bodies hit the floor, like, I 100% agree. Like, that's a song of the fucking moment of the time. Like, when you hear that song, you can picture yourself like playing fucking No Mercy on Nintendo 64. Like, it's just, you can just feel that vibe.
Yeah.
And dude, go to the Rhino Chris Jericho match. I thought Chris Jericho's promo pre-match, making fun of Stephanie McMahon.
Great.
He was like, I'm gonna tame the Rhino for the first time. I bet Stephanie McMahon remembers her first time with the football captain. with the just starts naming all the different fucking sports.
After the French Club.
Yeah, the French Club. Yeah, Chris Jericho. His promo skills are unmatched till this day. One of the best. John Stasiak, touch on that a bit. His dumb gimmick was great. Like, I mean, he's like, my trunks say Mecca. What does that even mean?
Oh, I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, that was great, dude. Touch on the X-Pac and Tajiri, dude. Like, solid match, just like Jesse said. Lots of really sick spots. The crowd was hot. And I'll point out again, X-Pac in this photo and in the match, he's wearing, like, knee pads you wear, like, skateboarding. And I've never seen any other wrestler wear knee pads like that. It's just super weird.
Well, like, but he did it like he did that a lot, especially in like the early, like when he was in DX and he wore the red and black.
Yeah, no, he's the only wrestler, but like I really noticed it in this match. I was like, whoa, those are like fucking like Pro-Tech or like 187 killer pads. I don't know what the fuck they are, but it's like they're either like skateboard pads or like roofing tile pads.
Knee pads.
Yeah, shit like that. But dude, my match of the night obviously is Stone Cold and Kurt Angle. That, like you said, I haven't watched that in years, and it's a fucking banger, dude. Stone Cold, like I said, he's taking brutal suplexes on the outside. Like, he's just getting – that's how I feel like he's just taking so much fucking punishment in this match. And I agree. I thought this should have went on last. The DQ finish, it makes sense. But The Rock and Booker T – it's like, I just didn't really like that whole feud at the time. Like, he was bearing the belt that he was going to win. And even when he won the belt, he was like looking at it like, should I even be happy about this?
Yeah.
I didn't like that whole thing. But Stone Cold and Kurt Angle definitely should have went on first. And is there anything else in the middle of the show I want to touch on? Jeff Hardy and RVD was great. But like you said, the Invasion match was a little bit better. Just a little bit. It's not like it was amazingly better, but I still prefer that other match.
It was a great match. I wasn't trying to bury it. It's just like I just prefer
the Canyon DDP shit. It was just booked horribly. Like awful. That whole DDP introduced into the WWF was just a fucking train wreck, dumpster fire. They botched that all to hell.
Awful.
I'm trying to think if there's any more points to touch upon besides Stone Cold and Kurt Angle fucking making me remember why I enjoyed wrestling in the first place.
I will tell you one thing that I noticed that was super weird to me that, like, because I do have this on DVD and I've watched it so many times, I was like, something's off. And there's at least 2 instances where they replaced entrance music for people. One being X-Pac, which, fuck.
They used to have Uncle Cracker we don't want to hear.
No.
Dealing with the X Factor.
But then Taker was using Kid Rock at the time. And the way that they overdub his, like, weird Taker biker music over this just hurt my ears in a way. It would like the way that they did it just sounds extremely unnatural, and they're like piping in crowd noise during it too to make up for the audio. It's really fucking weird.
Yeah. Not that we want to hear Kid Rock, but
that weird Taker biker song that's like, last guy's always been his last. Something and I'm kicking ass. That really bad one.
I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
No,
I just blocked that out of my psyche.
It's that one that says "Dead Man Walking." And it's got the bell at the front end, and it's just like super, super butt rock. Like,
that's the one. That's this one I'm talking about. Because in our trivia game, I referenced the lyrics to that, and it was so obscure you guys didn't even remember.
Yeah,
I think
all I remember from it is the "Dead Man Walking" thing, and then I know the guitar line, but I don't have any idea what any of those words were. Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how similar the WWF crowd in 2001 is to like if you watch the opening for Rampage last night and then you just watch the opening for SummerSlam 2001, it feels very similar.
I was literally
really similar.
Talking to my mom about this on the way home from work. I was like, the crowds right now are just like the crowds back in like 2000. Everyone's fucking hype. Tons of signs, like it's getting that vibe as when I was a kid again. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. It's wild, but I'm here for it. I'm loving it. Let's do a little bit of fantasy booking since we got the time. I know that Jesse kind of said like, well, I'm seeing the Darby CM Punk match kind of ending with Malachi Black and Malachi either taking one or the other that way. I don't know. I feel like they might do something with the trio of Punk, Allen, and Sting. I don't really know what, but I feel like that might be a way to kind of ease him into it. I don't think you're going Kenny Omega and Punk right out of the gate. I do think that Kenny Omega goes over it all out. He's still the AEW champion. We're going to see more of Christian in Impact, and more Christian kind of managing, I guess, Jurassic Express or whatever. I don't really know where to go with CM Punk, honestly. I mean, to me, it'd be great if you kind of like maybe like a Brian Cage would be cool. I think that'd be kind of a good vibe to have. Or, you know, put him up against like a true heel. Like, I don't, but at the same time, it's like, who do you have that's a true
MJF.
heel?
MJF, dude.
That's true. That could be great. That could be great. I like that. I like that idea.
If they're going to keep up just putting him in like dream matches and the face heel dynamic doesn't have to matter so much, I got to say, I would really like to see Punk and Page, or maybe even see them tag for a program.
Which Page?
Hangman.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good. That would be good. But I feel like I don't think you go face versus face right out of the gate either.
Well, that's what they're fucking doing already.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. That is true.
I think of course Kenny Omega of course is going to retain it all out, but the man that's going to take the title from him is going to be Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah, I think so.
Storyline wise, it only makes sense, and if they don't do that, it's like, why would you not capitalize on that? And the thing is, it's kind of hard to go face and face if you ever get Punk, but if we get a heel, maybe someone like a heel Malachi Black to eventually take the title off, or even a Cage, but Cage has been more of a baby face, but maybe who could.
I can see Andrade running, if they keep the momentum behind Andrade Idolo.
Oh, yeah. Andrade, he's a great heel. He could be a heel champion. Then imagine CM Punk versus Andrade sometime down the line.
If Andrade is doubled by both Chavo Guerrero and fucking
Ric Flair. Dude, and if Ric Flair to AEW confirmed, now CM Punk is confirmed, and we get Bryan Danielson confirmed, what is WWE going to do? They can't keep bringing The Undertaker back.
No, but I mean, I do think that, Wyatt, Bray Wyatt, Rotundo, whatever you want to call him, like, he's coming. There's no way around it. Like, there's no other place for him to go. Daniel Bryan, he's coming. And it's weird because it's like, well, yeah, these guys have been in matches with CM Punk before. Like, yeah, maybe, but like they were scripted matches and booked in a way that they didn't really have control over what they were doing. Dude, so for me, like, for example, like maybe they finally do that heel turn with Cody that they kind of like stutter stopped last year. Bring him back with the dark hair, make him heel. I'm big wig, I'm big money, I'm the VP. Very much like a Vince McMahon kind of role. And you could even have CM Punk kind of call him that. Like, you think you're Dusty, but really you're Vince. Dude, the heat that would get would be insane. Like, and dude, honestly, Cody as a heel is great. As a cocky, like, trashy heel, he's so good. Like, I mean, to me,
I don't want to fucking hate him anyway,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too. I feel like the hardcores are already kind of starting to turn on him anyway. So to me, it's like, dude, just make that leap. You go do your show, bring him back as a heel. Like I think it would be great. That would be my pick personally, but
yeah, I do like that. I like that idea. I think it's going to be a minute before they get to that level. I think they want to use Punk to like boost up a couple of the younger guys for a little while right out of the gate. I got to say, with Malachi's run and the way that is, to me, that makes the most sense following Darby. But then again, that also kind of depends on who else they bring in, dude.
Well, I mean, CM Punk actually dropped when he was talking about, the ideas of going to AEW or WWE a couple months ago. He actually dropped Joey Janela's name, and I know he recently just like ended his thing with Sonny Kiss. So maybe there is a reason behind that.
Heel.
Yeah. Dude. Maybe there is a reason behind that. Because I think that'd be great.
Is fucking great. And like him and Darby Allin had a match on Dynamite that wasn't like a hardcore match. It was just a regular ass match, and it was fantastic. So he can definitely go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, Punk can do the hardcore thing too, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, Punk, he maybe needs to. We'll see. We'll see, dude. I mean, there's so many what ifs too. It's like, what if he gets in there and it's like it looks like he was at the UFC? He's just so rusty and like it sucks. Like what? I mean, that's a possibility.
Well, I don't know.
He's been with Darby Allin and it sucks.
Because that show, that new show Heels on Stars, he worked on that a bunch as in like a guest starring role and helped like work with all in ring with all those people. So he's been training.
I mean, here's the other thing too. By the time that we got All Out and then Full Gear.
Yeah, Full Gear's in November.
Maybe by the time we get to Revolution, we've seen a long pregnant pause by Chris Jericho, and maybe his like one true last hurrah is with Punk.
That would be good.
I dig it.
Best in the world versus best in the world.
Yeah,
dude, that would be a great. Yeah, that'd be because they had their dude. Honestly, one of my favorite WWE Punk feuds was with Jericho.
Yeah,
the CM Punk angle
like,
busting.
That was like the end. That was close to the end of his run too.
That was a great fucking feud. So Imagine them get to do it with no filters in the way they want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, because a lot of people online, it's like, especially on the Twitterverse, it's like you drop these names and it's like, oh, Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk. And it's like, oh, we've seen that in Ring of Honor. We've seen that in WWE. It's like, dude, yeah, we saw it in Ring of Honor and it was 10 times better in Ring of Honor than it was in WWE. And now it's like they're both better. Like, they're both better. They're both smarter.
Way better.
And they're used to work. Like, Ring of Honor was like, that was it was in the old ECW arena when that happened. Like, dude, put that in like a massive arena. And you actually have like everything Daniel Bryan's done since then, everything CM Punk's done since then. I think that's a banger of a match. Like,
that's a pay-per-view headliner, Steeler.
Yes.
Goddamn. Like, I don't know what else to explain. That's a main event match anywhere in the world.
And also, that is one where any dynamic about good versus evil or whatever does not matter at all. Nobody's going to give two fucks. Everybody just wants to see.
That's that old Ring of Honor vibe. That just pure wrestling.
Yeah. I agree. I agree fully. I mean. To me, so now that we're talking about pay-per-views for the AEW, what is there? I mean, is there a WrestleMania for them? Like
Revolution, I thought. Revolution.
I kind of thought it was Double or Nothing. But...
Double or Nothing, yeah, because that was their first big hurrah. Yeah.
I feel like they need to, I don't know, have something. I don't know. Maybe they need to have a name that carries the weight of like the show of the year.
I smell a super show coming, honestly, and I think that it probably already would have happened if it had been allowed to, but like they want to stay away from Wrestle Kingdom, obviously, and you want to stay away from WrestleMania. So that takes away the first 2 quarters of the year. So they're probably, if I had to guess, going to focus on the fall and go back to like the period of time that All In occurred and, in this All Out vein. And between them, Impact, New Japan, potentially NWA to some extent, potentially Ring of Honor to some extent. And you have some level of like a super show that just carries mostly your top storylines and shit. Say it's 3.5 hours long, 4 hours long, whatever the fuck. I think that's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I love how CM Punk mentioned that he left pro wrestling in 2005 and then didn't come back until last night.
Yeah.
That was excellent.
I love that too.
He buried WWE without mentioning their name once.
Yes. Yeah. Which is nice.
I want one of those goddamn ice cream bars.
Yeah.
Yes. I was so when he popped and like showed showed JR and Mark Henry eating ice cream bars, I was like, oh shit, they finally got him.
That's amazing. It's amazing. Well, boys, I think that's gonna wrap it up for now. I mean, I like this format though. I liked kind of just talking about the stuff that we liked from the shows, the stuff we didn't like, kind of touching on all the matches, but not having to go match by match. And maybe that's something we'll adopt. I also like being able to talk about what happened last night and having this come out, today. Like, I think that's a big advantage for us too, to be kind of on the cusp of everything before everybody else gets to talk about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it at home, in your car, or wherever you're listening to this now. I'm hype about wrestling, man. It's a great time to be a pro wrestling fan. I think that like the sky's the limit for AEW. We'll see what WWE does with SummerSlam tonight. And they also have TakeOver tomorrow. And that's actually going to be our show next week. We're going to break down SummerSlam 2021 versus NXT. I believe it's 36. TakeOver 36.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one. I'm pretty excited about
possible last ever Adam Cole match in NXT.
Yeah, possible. I mean, first time we've seen Samoa Joe in a couple of years in the ring, too.
You got to think about the thing, like really the only program I'm massively excited about in all of WWE at the moment at all is watching that Joe match, which is sad because, 6 months ago, they fucking fired his ass. Like, that's wild to think about.
I just think about him at WrestleMania on commentary with Michael Cole in the ring, just looking real disappointed.
And then fucking ponchos.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like, I'm hyped to see Reigns and Cena. I think the match is gonna be good. I'm really hyped to see Rollins and Edge. I feel like that match is gonna be damn good. Like, SummerSlam doesn't have a bad card. It's just there's no good stories. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing captivating you to watch it. The matches are always pretty decent.
I don't know, man. Lashley Goldberg, come on.
Oh yeah, no, that's trash for sure.
Let's see how Rollins and Edge holds up against Omega and Christian. Let's talk about that next week.
Yeah, I like that. That
makes sense. Also, I don't know if you guys caught any little bit of SmackDown last night, but we got some Brood action. They played the Brood theme, and Edge appeared on the big screen and did an old school bloodbath on Seth Rollins in his white suit in the ring.
Oh shit!
I'm gonna have to watch that now.
I read a review of it and I had to go back and look at the clip.
Oh, I love that.
They were just like, all right, we got to do something really cool tonight.
That's very cool.
It is really cool though.
Yeah, that is very cool. I like that. That's cool. Okay, cool. Well, next week is going to be SummerSlam 2021 versus TakeOver 36. I'm excited to go head-to-head, kind of inside the company. The following week is going to be ECW's Natural Born Killers from 1996. Nice little 25-year comparison. Going up against SummerSlam 1991. We did shuffle some stuff around there, but that's going to kind of end our SummerSlam season there, too. Jesse, Mr. Booker, man, what do we have on that ECW show that we should be looking forward to?
Dude, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but let's just say if you enjoy New Jack, you'll enjoy this show. And
it's titled after him, basically. So
pretty much, there's a lot of the version that's on Peacock. There's some production difficulties and things, but it's still a super fun watch. Lots of names that everybody's probably going to want to Google if they go back and watch it as well, just to see what they're up to now and shit. And it was really fun. And then, dude, SummerSlam 91. This is like peak Gaga when I was buying WWE coloring books as a 6-year-old. Fucking
yes.
Like the super larger than life cartoony character version of WWE, which is always fun.
I was born this year in 1991, so yeah.
I can tell you right now, match of the night for SummerSlam 91 for sure. I know what that one's going to be. I'm super hyped to see it.
Well, I know British Bulldog.
It's Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental Championship.
Oh, Intercontinental title. Oh, I've watched that match before. That's a good one.
It is a fucking banger.
Yeah. I'm super excited about it. I'm also excited to kind of rip apart 91. And you know what? Like, I've never seen this ECW show for sure. I've always kind of been like a not really a hardcore ECW fan. I liked it. I watched it when I could, but I never went out of my way to watch it. And for me, like, the hardcore wrestling thing has just never been right up my alley. But man, we got a lot on the plate, man. We got a lot on the plate. 2021 is going to be such a good year for pro wrestling. I'm super excited. It feels nice to have this buzz going on. And that's going to do it for us, man. You can find me at Daniel Daybreak on all socials, at Daniel John Schaefer on Facebook. You can always find the show at KFabeCom, except for on TikTok where we do our match of the week, and it's at KFabeCom Pod because X is an asshole. Jesse, where can people find you, man?
At Jesse Baker Nash on Twitter and on Instagram, and just old Jesse Baker on Facebook.
Love it. Wex, give him the script, baby. Let's go home.
Oh, you can follow your boy Wex Breaking the Lawson. I have Wex Breaking the Lawson on everything except for Twitter because I couldn't fit the Lawson, so it's just Wex Breaking the. But I honestly hadn't been on Twitter in a while since I got a new phone because I hadn't even downloaded it yet. But if I get on there and you send me something, I guess I'll see it.
Nice. That's gonna wrap it up for us, guys. We'll see you guys next week. We're out.
Peace. Too sweet.